Why does it matter what school you go to?
Don't forget that we've had 30 years of governments telling parents, look at the test scores.
90% of secondary schools in England have geography as a key admissions criterion.
Many parents have the misunderstanding that they have more chance of being admitted if they rank only one school.
That was one of our really surprising findings. What on earth can it be like for parents to try and choose a school?
There is evidence that how effective your school is will determine your test scores, and there's a correlation between your test scores at the end of school and then what you go on to do later in life. A fair amount was already known on what schools historically had done in terms of pupil admissions, but there was a lack of evidence research on what schools were currently doing. Now that most schools are academies and can control their own admissions criteria, what have they chosen to do? And I think there's also lacking evidence on what the effect of their chosen policies might be, which will be the next stage of our research.
The rise of academies is really a game changer for school admissions, isn't it? It's changed everything.
Well, that was the hypothesis, that since academies and free schools have control of their own admissions, they might choose to be doing interesting, innovative things. But actually what we found is that academy schools in particular seem to have stuck with the norm, stuck with geography, geography as their main admissions criteria.
So our argument is that that reduces access from some families to getting into those schools. But we have to recognise, it has to be said that there are some positives as well, because it gives a sense of community to the school. If all of the children going to the school live near it and they live near each other, children can play together, do their homework together, share lifts. There's lots of advantages.
So currently around 5% of schools prioritise pupils that are eligible for the pupil premium, in general a marker of low income. And so it could be that schools have, for example, 10% of their places, a quota, reserved for pupils that have the pupil premium.
Yeah, that was one of our really surprising findings, wasn't it? And I think surprised everybody that from 2014, schools have been allowed to give extra priority to disadvantaged children. I think we were all expecting to see quite a lot of that in the data. Turns out hardly any schools do that. If certain addresses give you a ticket into the popular school, then those addresses are going to become more expensive. Now we need a school admission system that to some degree kind of divorces your chance of getting in from anything to do with your family income.
There's also quite a lot of misunderstanding about the school allocation mechanism itself. Many parents have the misunderstanding that they have more chance of being admitted if they rank only one school, or that you have priority in your first choice, which is not the case anymore in England. There were also cases where parents would find it impossible to know whether they had priority at a certain school. So for example, there are cases where finding out the catchment area, the predefined area which gives you priority at the school, in some cases that was hard to find. It was a case of emailing or visiting the school. In some cases it was impossible to find.
So I mean, it just feels like that's such an easy policy for a government or a local authority to undertake.
Yes.
Centralise all the information, make schools do this, because parents get really stressed about this. I think the most exciting thing is that we are going to be able to do so much with all of this amazing data on schools. If they can see some evidence from us that change in what they do would be beneficial to society, and in particular to children coming from poorer families, then there's a way that we can argue with them to try and do that.
So we feel that if we can make access to quality or effective education more equal, then maybe we make longer term outcomes more equal and affect social mobility.
And you're right, and inequality is such a big issue these days, and a lot of inequality of incomes depends on inequality of education. So if we can make a small change in that, then I'll be really happy.
Yes.
I think it's really important to me that the research that we do, that this project and other ones, actually make a difference to the world.